Hi everyone and welcome back to Northwestern Models TV, and today I'm going to show you how to put together the Dapol Kitmaster JCB kit in 00 gauge. It's quite an old kit, it's been around for a while, but it's a good one. So let's get started. So let's make a start by first of all opening up the bag and seeing what we've actually got in the pack. Yeah. Right, so we've got a couple of plastic frets there. A few nice popped off. We've also got a sheet of transfers, which we'll need later after it's all been assembled and painted. And we also have a full instruction sheet. Now, I will certainly recommend reading through the instructions first to make sure that you know what you're doing and that you've identified all the parts on there and where they go. With these Dapol kits, they do go together pretty well, and you know, it is a case of just follow the instructions in the pack, and you know, you can't really go too far wrong from it. But nevertheless, let's make a start and see what we can do with it. So I'm just going to put the instructions to one side so I can see them, and then I'll sort of talk you through what we need to do. Right then. Well, the first thing is to try and identify all the parts on there, and a few of them will need a bit of further cleaning up as well. So, right. Drive a spill seat through the hole and send the excavator base. So the first part we're going to need is the excavator base part, is what that's telling me. So I'll give that a quick clean up, and to do that I'm just going to use a craft knife just to get rid of the worst, and then just a quick finish off with the file just to smooth it off a little bit. Because what you find is, because this is quite an old kit now, some of the mouldings that are used in it are quite tired, so they don't necessarily always mould together particularly well, so you end up with a bit of flash coming out and spreading about a bit. But you know, it's part of the hobby when it comes to building kits, and you just got to, well, get on with it really. Just work your way through. I'll just recommend just doing this for each component part that we come up to. So, right then, that one, and we're going to need that as well. Okay. So what I'm doing, whilst I'm sort of looking to one side here, is I'm just checking with the exploded diagram. That's at the bottom of the instructions. You can see there it's got all the numbered parts on it, just sort of try and help you identify the parts. Even though the parts are mentioned by number in the text, so you can't really go too wrong with it. Just, you know, do keep an eye out for things and make sure you got things the right way up, and that as it does make obviously all the difference in the world. Right, so choose that. So that's going to go through there, like so. It is also, like I said, trying to identify some of the parts, because the parts unfortunately are not actually numbered on the frets, which is a little annoying in some ways, and I would have liked them to have been. Let's just see. I think that is actually the part we're after. It certainly looks like the part we're going to be after. So that will go on there. So what I'm doing initially is just doing a little dry run of the first 3 or 4 components, just to be sure of myself of where they actually go, so that when I come to glue them in a minute, I kind of know that they're in the right place. And that one around the back. And like I say, I'm just giving them a quick clean up as I find them, locate them. Right, so that will go in there with the steering wheel, which is very, very small, going on there. Right, okay, so onto the glue that we can use. Now, I'm going to use Ema Plastic Weld. We don't actually sell this in the shop at the moment. We have had it in the past, but we've only been able to sell it at exhibitions because it comes in a glass bottle, so it's very difficult to actually post. But you could quite easily use something like Deluxe Materials Rocket Rapid Glue, which is a fast setting super glue, or perhaps even something like Yoo-Hoo may be suitable for it, but certainly any sort of glue which is designed for plastic should be fine with this. Like I say, I'm going to use the Ema Plastic Weld. We don't need a lot of it at once, so I always use a small paintbrush which is dedicated to this particular job. And what this does is it actually will soften the plastic for you. So you just put a little bit on one side and then pop it into place, and if you hold it for a little while it should be okay. I then usually put a little spread just around the bottom, just to help the 2 parts stick together. Like I say, it's called plastic weld, so the idea is that it welds it together quite happily. And just do one component at a time, don't try and do it all at once, just work your way through nice and carefully. You can be quite generous with it, and you do get a little bit of playing time, but not much, so you have to work relatively quickly with it, but you do get a bit of play time. Now, because some of these components are quite small, you could perhaps use some tweezers to hold them if you so desired, or some little pliers or something, to help hold them in place for you, and just to make it that little bit easier. I think I'm going to for the steering wheel. Grab my tweezers. Now, we do actually sell this type of tweezer in our tool section, and that does happen on occasions. If you saw that then, it shows the steering wheel went flying across the workbench. Right, let's have a go. So, it goes in to there, a little bit around there. There we are. That's in there. I'll just poke it in a bit with bugger. It happens. There we go. Right. Put the lid back on the glue so it doesn't go everywhere in case we knock the bench or something. Right, next instructions then. So the next stage is to put the main body onto the chassis, making sure that it all sits flush down really nice. So again, we will do a dry run with it, make sure everything's going to behave itself and go in as planned, let's say. Yeah, there we are, that seems to have landed quite happily there, I think. It looks pretty good. Yeah. So what I can do now is, because I'm quite happy that that is in the right place, is I can glue around the base of that just to make sure that it's not going to ping out. As you may have seen, it was a little bit fiddly to get in there, but it has gone. Just a little bit of careful pulling and pressing in and it did go. Just running plastic weld into the joints. And I'm also going to, where I can, I'm going to put some on the inside as well, just to strengthen it up a little bit. There's nothing saying you have to do this, but I think it's probably just a little worthwhile exercise. Right then. So cement the ribs on the capsize into slots on top of the body, with the front angle of the capsize sloping backwards, 7 and 8. Alright, so that means the side window pieces, which are these pieces here, are going into those big slots on the rear wheel arches. So I'll just take those off the fret, and again just give them a quick clean tidy up. Removing any excess which is going to get in our way. Same with the other side. Right, now I think it's important with this to try and identify the parts, and what you may find, well, what you should be able to see on each of them is that there's a little line down here which is probably going to signify that this piece, this side, needs to be on the inside, so that this one is for that slot there, and the other one, it's on the opposite side, so that will go in to that side, and that will be so that the front windscreen can slot nicely in between the two side frames. I think that will probably be the next piece to go in. Yes, cement the cab front, angled back between the capsize and flush at the top, 9 and 10. Yep, so cab front, which is that one by the looks of it, and top and back is that one. So I've not glued the side pieces in just yet because I want to have a little bit of wiggle room and a bit of play in it, so that if it does need to move, we can move it relatively easily without struggling with it. The last thing we want to do is to be struggling with it. Just tidy these bits of flash off. Right, so the front piece should then go into there, like so. He says as it all then falls apart because he's not glued it in place. And let's try that again so that we get a proper dry run with it. It is important, if you can do a dry run whenever you're building a kit up, to do a dry run, because that way you can see how it goes together before you glue it, because once you've glued it, it makes it very difficult to take it apart again. So that's, you know, the cab body together. So before, if you wanted to put glazing in, this would probably be the time to seriously consider putting glazing in, because you can get to it. I'm not going to put glazing in this because this is a demonstration model to show how the kit makes up. If I was having this for my own layout, then yes, it would be being glazed. So for now, I'm going to leave the side pieces in loose to give us that bit of play, and we're just going to glue in the front window frame first, very carefully, and hoping that we don't poke it out. Just being very, very gentle with the glue, letting it just bleed itself into the gaps between the parts. Like I say, you do get a bit of play time with it to wiggle it about a bit, but not much. So now I've got the front in, I'm going to do the side pieces. Just let that glue trickle right in, which I believe is, the technical term would be called capillary action. Get a bit on the inside as well. Obviously, once the glue has gone off, which doesn't take particularly long, it will form a strong enough joint with this particular glue. And so we're now pretty much ready to stick the roof on. So to stick the roof on, all we're going to do is glue around the top of the frame where it goes, so across the front, down the two sides, and the two sloping backwards pieces. I'm not going to try and glue it on the underside of the cab roof because I'm not fully sure exactly where it locates on there, so I don't want to put a load on in the wrong place particularly. What you should find is that it does slot into place rather well, and if you've made it tacky enough, it should hold up for itself, ready to be glued in properly. As I said, if you can get some in on the underside behind it, so much the better. This is the advantage of not having put the windows in. Like I say, if you wanted to put windows in, you could do before you stuck the roof on. But there we are, that is the cab now assembled, and generally the whole body of our little JCB is now coming together. Right, so the next instruction is to put in some smaller details around the front of the cab on the engine bay area of our digger. And we've got 3 components to put in. We've got, you can see that we've got they're basically calling them filters and exhausts and things. You can, I've had to read the instructions a couple of times for it, but we've basically got that one, and that one to go in. Now this one goes in to the front of the right hand wheel arch, and the other 2 are the exhaust pieces. So the small stumpier one goes towards the front and the slightly taller one goes towards the back. So I'm going to get those off, ready to go in. Give them a quick tidy up and get them in. Like I say, it did confuse me a little bit at first, reading the instructions on it. I was thinking, well, why are they putting that in now? It seems a bit odd. But then, like I say, having reread the instructions a couple of times, it did then sort of make sense a bit more. So it is important to make sure that you do read the instructions on these kits, because that way you've got more of a chance of getting it right. If you just go in, oh yeah, that goes there, that goes there, that goes there, okay, you might get it right, but there's a good chance that you could also get it wrong, and that then spoils the model at the end of it, and you go, oh well, I wish I'd read the instructions. So like I say, do make sure that you do actually spend a little bit of time just reading the instructions for yourself, so that you know yourself what you're aiming to be doing at each particular point on the build. And again, as always, doing a little dry run does help with things, just to make sure things are going in the right place, and that it looks right to the diagrams and to the photos, the picture at the top of the instructions. It does make all the difference. So, get these bits cleaned up. Alright, so let's see about getting these in here. Dry for a minute before we put that last one in. Whilst that is actually dry, I can start reading the next instruction. Oh, it's just to start making the wheels up, ready for those to go in. That should be hopefully fairly easy and fairly obvious as to where they're going to end up. Right. Getting this little filter piece in, which I will admit is a bit fiddly and awkward. It's in, it is. There we go. And just a last little bit of glue just to stick that in place. Right, so that's those little bits in there. So it's the little bits which take the time, surprisingly, when it comes to building kits. As it's all, you always think, oh, the big components, and they always fit there, and all of a sudden it makes a massive difference. But it's just as important to do the little bits as well. So, onto the wheels. And again, these have got quite a bit of flash around them, so I'm just going to whiz the worst off with the craft knife. So with these back ones, they do have a bit of tread on them, so if you wanted to dig that out, dig the flash out between the treads, then you could do. Spend a little bit more time on it and make it look that little bit better. But again, you think, well, it's a JCB, it's going to be in a field perhaps, or in an industrial environment of some sort, so the wheels are going to be covered in mud and dirt and whatever, so it's not vitally important that you get all the dirt out of the all the flash out of the wheel treads. If you just get the worst of it out, then you've got a good chance. I'm just trying to get it, like I say, just get a bit of it out, just make it look a little bit better. So that's one. Like I say, you can go to town on them. I mean, obviously JCBs are used pretty much anywhere and everywhere. So farms use them quite a bit. Obviously building sites, it's the obvious target there. Or even if you're doing a preserved model railway. Quite often a JCB is used to coal up the steam locomotives, so you could have one there. And they're also used as general plant machinery, so if you've got like a maintenance yard or something, to have a JCB hanging around is quite a good thing. If you're doing something a little bit more experimental, perhaps like an archaeology dig on your layout for a scene, the big yellow digger is always seems to pop up as a useful tool. Right, the back wheels, do the same with the fronts. Just get the worst bits off. With the front wheels, the smaller ones, they do have, and they are supposed to have a narrow band around the middle of them. So don't try and spend all day filing and trying to get that off, because it is supposed to be like that. So just last bit of flash I spotted on that large wheel. So make sure you get the wheels on the right way around. So for the back ones, with the dish effect of it pointing out, and the front wheels, it doesn't actually really matter, they're pretty much symmetrical. So as always, we'll do a quick dry run, make sure that they go on okay, and if they do, we'll glue them all in. And so far we're looking pretty good. Alright, we're going to have something that vaguely resembles well, a bit of a tractor at the moment, I suppose is the way to call it. So let's pop some glue on them and keep them in place. They're not going to fall off all over the place. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be any sort of way that you could have it to, if you wanted the wheels to move, for instance, there doesn't really seem to be much in the way of mobility with that. And likewise, if you wanted to position the front wheels at a bit of an angle for something a little bit different, then again it's a bit, there's not much really you can do about it. It's going to end up just sitting square. But perhaps if you're a more skilled modeller, you've done quite a few kits and you quite enjoy a bit of kit bashing, or making alterations and things, then perhaps you could get it so that the wheels turned or pointed in a slightly different direction. But for me, as I said, I'm building this up straight out of the box, well, not out of the box, out of the pack, so that it can be seen as it's supposed to be, as it's been designed to be built up. So that is essentially most of phase 1 of the build done. Just saying something about hubcaps, and I think I've just spotted them. So we do actually have some hubcaps, 4 of them there. So large ones for the back, small ones for the front. Same process as before, pop them off, stick them in place. So I'll do that, and I will then catch up with you when we start making the rear post. Right, so we moved on to the rear boom now, and basically just follow the instructions as best you can. I've taken all the components out, I've cleaned them up, and I've started assembling the main kingpin area, ready for that to go on. So that is now ready to go. So now moving on, I'm going to move on to the main arms for the digger, which come in basically 4 parts. So we've got the 2 pieces which go upright, and then the 2 bits that drop down. They do assemble really very simply. Like I say, just follow the instructions, and you can't go too far wrong. And again, just double check yourself with the photos to make sure you get things in the right place, the right components together, and like I say, you can't really go too far wrong with it. So let's just give that a little bit of a clean up to get the pin on, if it will. If not, we'll just chop the pin off. And again, you could probably position this into any position that you want. For these purposes, I'm just going to nip that off there. And you do have a quite good range of motion, of positions for it. So do just do what you feel is right with it. You may have seen me just cut one of the pins off here then, and that's purely to make it a bit easier to get it together, because I could see where the 2 pins were supposed to go, the pin and the socket was supposed to go, but there's just no way it was really going on particularly well. So I've used a little bit of modeller's license, let's say, and I'm just sticking it together and lining it up as best I can with the positioning on it. And I'll be able to do exactly the same with the other side. So there's no great loss on it, let's say, as long as we remember that that is what we have done. And do remember that they are handed, so they will go, they are supposed to go a certain way around. So you've got one side and the other side of the boom with the detail on. You don't want to put the detail on one side and then the other side, and you've got the 2 bits of detail pointing together and it not looking nice on the outside. So that's looking pretty good and fairly close to the other one, I would say. It does just show you there that there is a little bit of play and a little bit of wiggle room with the glue before it fully goes off. So you do have a bit of a chance to pop things together. Right. And so then basically, like I say, you just follow the instructions, and I've probably missed a few out here and there to make things a little bit easier for my purposes. But you could obviously go all the way if you wanted. You could do it whichever way you want to build it. It is your kit, it's your model, and that's what matters. So again, make sure you get the components all the right way up. Just pop it together just by following the instructions. And this is a relatively simple kit in a lot of ways, but in a number of other ways it's quite complicated. So I wouldn't necessarily say it was for beginners, but certainly you can have you can gain a lot of experience from it. And just try fitting the jib arms to the pins, and of course the pins slightly oversized, so I'm just going to see if I've got my little drill bit, which is just a little bit bigger than the hole, and just see if I can just open it up a little bit by hand before we try and glue it in there. Sometimes you do find this with plastic kits, so that they do need certain bits just opening up a little bit just to make it a bit easier, and that's now going on there a lot better. So I'll do the same with the other one. Now I'm going to glue this all solid in place. Well, the instructions do say try and keep it loose so that you can position it all, but I think by having it, for our purposes at least, gluing it in place is going to be of benefit to us in that respect. So that's what we are going to do. So that will go on there, and as we can see, the booms do join up quite nicely. So let's put a little bit of glue down the middle just to help get us started. It's actually been quite therapeutic in some ways building this kit up this afternoon. It is a nice little kit in a lot of ways because of its general simplicity with it. A kit of this age, design wise, certainly you think, oh, okay, it's a good few years old. Is it going to be of any, is it going to be decent anymore? And actually, the answer is yes. It's a pretty decent little kit. Like I say, I've really quite enjoyed making it up today. So let's see if we can get the bucket on. It's one of these where you could cut, in some ways could do with quite a few extra, you know, pairs of hands or something, just to help all bits together. Just while the glue goes off. Don't they get in there now? There we are. Right. So there we are. Hopefully you can see now that we've got a little bucket on the back, and we can still just about move the arm up and down, which is enough for what I want. And obviously the weight of it is pushing, is pulling it back, which is why we're going to need the front assembly going together as well. So that's it for the back end and the main body. So I'll go through all the components for the front end and get them cleaned up, and then be ready to start building. Right, so on to the front loader. Again, I've just gone through, cut out all the parts and given them a clean up to make this video a little bit shorter. So again, as before, just basically just following the instructions, because that is, you know, the easiest and best way to do it. And you just got to work through them, and making sure that you get the right pieces in the right place. And as always, you know, do that little dry run first, make sure everything lines up where you're expecting it to line up, and if it doesn't, then, you know, you might find, okay, it might be for the other side or something like that, like so. You know, so if the part fits in well enough, you know it's going to pretty much be in the right place with it. And it is one of those, when you come to build kits up, not just nice plastic kits like this, but any kind of kit, if you can do a dry run with things, you know, do a dry run. It's always worthwhile. There's no harm in doing it, and it can just help reassure yourself that you have actually got everything in the place it's supposed to be before you actually glue it in place. Because, as I think I said earlier, if you glue everything in place straight away, or try and glue it before you've test fitted it, then you are just going to end up in problems if it happens to be in the wrong place. But it's one of those, we all learn from our mistakes, and you only do it once or twice. You know, you don't do it very often at all. As I said, you learn from your mistakes and go, perhaps I should have actually, you know, read the instructions, done the dry run, and put it together that way around. Yeah, just one of those. Just take, as always, just take your time with it and just see how it goes together. And for certain bits like these little loader arms, you know, they're going to need a little. There is a bit of flexibility in the plastic anyway, but you know, allowing them that extra little bit of time just to dry out a bit is, you know, going to help in the long run with it. Right. And again, as I've just been rereading the instructions again, just making sure, you know, we're going to get things in the right place, you know, as it is so important to make sure that you do get things in the right place when you do all this. And sometimes it's easier to actually do it in a slightly different order to the instructions, but you'll learn that with the more kits you do, as you become more confident with it. You know, if this is perhaps one of the first kits you've ever done, you might think, oh, it's quite complicated. And this is quite a complicated kit. It's not simple, and so far it's taken at least an hour, if not longer, to assemble this kit, you know, and think, okay, it's quite a bit of time going into it. It's not a quick build by any means. And it certainly surprised me, because I thought, oh, right, I might have this done in like half an hour or something similar to that. Nope, no chance of that today. So I'm actually, you know, assembling the bottom half of the, or the front half of the scoop, the front scoop, off the actual main unit, purely because it's a little bit easier to do it that way than it is the other way. You know, to try and get it on there, because you've got a big lump, you're trying to deal with it and things are just going everywhere, whereas this is a much smaller unit to deal with now, so everything becomes a little bit simpler, let's say, to slot together. But again, that's where my years of building kits, you know, comes into its own, in that I know that, okay, this could be a bit quicker if I do it this way. And obviously not everybody's going to have that skill and knowledge, but that's where I'm, you know, using that knowledge that I have to my little advantage with this. And again, just doing lots of little dry runs to get things together and in the right place as best I can. You know, and I've not used many tools, as you've seen. I've only used craft knife, a file and the little tweezers to help me build it, so I've not used a vast majority of tools with it, so you can build it, you know, with a slightly limited toolkit, let's say. And there's no harm in that at all. You know, if you haven't necessarily got the tools available, it shouldn't stop you trying to make it, but obviously it's easier if you have got the tools, you know, that are going to help do the job that a little bit better. Just make sure everything's in the right place. Any luck, we should hopefully be able to squeeze that in to the front of there. And there we are. Our little digger is complete. So there we are, that is how to build up the Dapol JCB kit that we have. As you've seen, it does take a while to build. At the moment it's in unpainted condition. Follow the instructions for the paint. Included in the pack as well is a set of JCB transfers. Follow the instructions on the information sheet, and that'll tell you exactly how to fit the transfers to your model once you've got it painted. So all that's left to say really is I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Also make sure that you hit that subscribe button as well, because we've got plenty more videos heading your way with how-to kits and other information for railway modelling as well. So until next time, happy modelling!